Parents of Reddit, what are mistakes that you feel that you made that others could learn from before it is too late? For the love of God, accept all the help, let other people clean, bring you food and watch your kids while you sleep. It really does take a village, and for some reason we want to be able to do everything ourselves. It's complete nonsense. Thank you for this. We're expecting our first in the next week sometime. We're pretty private people and I suck at asking for help, though I'm working on it. It's partly COVID and not wanting people in the house, and partly pride or not wanting to be a burden. I'm still trying to figure out which, but we are actually surrounded by an amazing community and will need to be intentional about accepting help. Make time for your kid. Really make time. My son is 9 now and I am lucky in that I am now able to give him the attention he deserves. When I was working myself to death, I was only home to sleep and get ready for work, and it affected him emotionally a lot. Now, he is doing better, schooling, has way less tantrums, is eating better, sleeping better, and just doing better overall. To add to this, make time for each kid individually. I'm the eldest of 4. Parents had me in their early 20s, then spaced out each other kid by 2-3 years because that was their life plan. They spent a large portion of my formative years with a lot of stressors and distractions on their plates, and expected the older kids to sort themselves out so they could deal with the younger kids and their own problems that arose from simply being young adults. Now that I'm an adult, I have a very superficial relationship with them. I love them as most people would love a parent, but there is very little connection there. I've never felt like I could open up to them or expect them to be there for me in times of need. Don't do that to your children. Thank you for sharing this. I have 4 little kids and I do try to make time for each one. It is really so hard for parents though. My oldest and I do mom and daughter dates sometimes though, and tonight, she asked me to snuggle her in bed. I had to try so hard not to roll my eyes. I had already gotten 3 younger kids to bed, but for about 15 minutes, I snuggled her in bed and we talked about her first day of 6th grade. She's getting so old without me really appreciating it, and while I expect her to basically take care of herself now as I deal with the little kids, I also hope she always asks me to snuggle her in bed. If I stop doing that now, she will stop asking. Never forget that your kid needs you forever, and if you aren't there for them during the adolescent years, they will learn to do without you. Stay as connected as you can during the tween and teen years. Even if it isn't serious talk or snuggling, find a hobby to do together that keeps you connected. Thank you, I really try. I'm on the opposite side to you. I'm the 5th of 6 kids, and both of my parents worked full-time, and we were all kind of left to take care of ourselves, with the oldest kids taking care of the youngest kids. I also have a very superficial relationship with my parents. I love them dearly and I know they work really hard, but I just do not feel a real personal connection with them. I am super close with my oldest sister though. She's a mother figure to me. I cannot thank you enough for sharing this. I'm a teenager and eldest of 3. My parents expected me to be independent way too young to take care of my younger siblings, and now I'm quite distant to them. They tried to be close now, but it's just awkward and I do not feel comfortable anymore. I do things on my own and prefer to be alone. Guess that's just it. They trained me this way anyway. My parents were the same. I'm also the eldest of 3 and my parents expected me to be the caretaker of my 2 siblings as well as do all the housework, etc. from about the time I was 6. I love my mom and stepdad, but I've been LC with them for years because they had very high expectations that I could never meet and would get a lot of shit over when I didn't. My parents expected me to be the caretaker of my 2 siblings as well as do all the housework, etc. Yup, Me too. It's hell. I can't have fun with my friends because I have siblings and a house to take care of. I try my best to perform well in school too, so the stress of academics and family is getting into me and I can't relax nor have an outlet, so I might just burst any day now. They had very high expectations that I could never meet and would get a lot of shit over when I didn't. Sigh. I can relate again. I know I shouldn't rush, but I can't wait to grow up and get out of here. Thanks for sharing. By the way, I didn't know someone was in the same boat as I do. You made me feel heard. I did a lot of shit I shouldn't have in middle and high school, just to see if I could get away with it, but also because I was like, fuck you and your stupid rules and expectations. I've also seen how it affected my siblings, who weren't really held to the same standards as I was. My sister has had a drug, alcohol addiction issues since her teens, had 3 kids she had no business having, had those kids taken away because she couldn't be ours to be a good parent, and she doesn't even give a shit. She acts like they're not even her kids anymore. My brother got in a shit ton of trouble too, almost got sent to jail and managed to pull himself out of the track he was on. Now he barely contacts our family other than to send mom and dad money every now and then because they're on a fixed income and he can afford it. I don't think I've spoken to him in almost 15 years at this point, and I avoid my sister like the plague. My mom is like this. She works late too much. I know she doesn't get that much overtime. All growing up I knew my mom would be home late and I wouldn't see her a lot of days to spend some quality time. She now complains that I never see her now I'm a busy adult. I truly love my dad, but every time I think about my youth he sadly was just never available. I'd try to ask him to play with me on Sundays, cause he worked Saturdays as well, and he would always be sleeping on the couch. I can literally count out the times I played with him on 2 hands, but I've kept everything we ever built and will never throw it away. Mom was always busy in the house or with my sisters. It's been 15 years and every time I talk or think about it I will burst out in tears. I've been off of work for a few weeks now due to COVID and a boss that needs a slap, punishing me for being off by offering no work. Getting back on track now it seems, but my 4-year-old son has loved it. Has become so much more attached and generally happy. Loved it. This is something my parents didn't really do. I can't remember many family moments with my parents and now I feel quite disconnected from them, like I hardly know them. They ran and worked in a restaurant 7 days a week, so there was never any time. Plus meals were eaten alone in our rooms, not together. We never went on holiday or did things together. I had everything I needed growing up, but it would have been nice to be connected to my family. This is so important. I homeschool my daughter and will also with my toddler son, and although some days it feels like we'll never get anything important done, I can't imagine missing all those school days with her. I'm so grateful. Refrain from making one person be the disciplinarian and the other the consoler. Try to share the load. You may fall into one category naturally, but there will be times that you want to be in the other role, and it will take time to transition out of the role you had, especially if you've done it a long time. This can turn into teenagers who do respect the consoler, or in the opposite, teenagers who cannot open up to the disciplinarian. It is not a hard fast rule, but my wife and I have kids that are at very different ages. For our youngest I asked to not be the bad cop all the time, and he is much more affectionate to me than my other kids ever were. I know my other kids love me, but they will always go to them with their problems, and getting them to open up to me can be very difficult. What is worse, it is much easier for them to see me as the enemy on certain days, no matter how much work I've done to show them they can trust me. That said, I know it is difficult for my wife to get the kids to listen to her, and it is really no issue for me. Basically, realize that you are building a long-term relationship with your child, and starting at very young age, the time will fly by for you, and what seem trivial to you may be a very big deal for your kids. Even after all of that, don't overthink it. Take time to stop and live in the moment. Raising kids is a very rewarding experience. I have 4 ranging from 6 to 17, and each brings us so much in their own way. 4 very different personalities, and at the same time pretty much the same people. Enjoy that. I'm the youngest in my family by 5 years and was 100% an accident. When my mom found out she was pregnant with me, she told my dad he needed to step up more than he did with my sibs. When my sibs were little, my dad was just starting out as a lawyer, and was super busy, and my mom wasn't a citizen yet so couldn't work much. He did, and I was much closer to my dad when I was little than my siblings were. From my ex and I. Co-parent, be civil and realistic with your expectations of each other. Stop making it a competition to see who is more loved. It's not a competition, it's a cooperation. The constant battle between the two of you is not healthy for your kids. You are stuck together for the rest of this child's life whether you like it or not. Have each other's backs. Support each other. Even though you are no longer together, you are still a family to your kids. Work together to help this kid grow up normal. Love this. No matter what us adults are going through, we need to make things feel okay and consistent for kids, because kids do not understand adult issues. They just want to know that they are safe, loved, and secure, and that they know the routine, even if it changes. Sounds like you are doing an amazing job. Completely agree. I was lucky to have 2 parents who fell out of love but co-parented beautifully. They were respectful of each other and always put my sister and I before any of their drama. My sister and I are in our 30s now, and our parents and stepdad are all best friends. We're lucky. Start learning about your emotions now, not how to control them or make them go away, but how to identify, name, acknowledge, breathe with, love and accept them. Then learn what they are trying to tell you about what you need and want. Life gets a lot easier when you can do this. It also saves your child years of therapy. Read the book you wish your parents had read. Thank you. I think it's the only advice worth knowing. If you can hold yourself with love through whatever you feel, your child learns to do that from you. Then whatever life throws your way, you always have a home to come back to inside yourself. We all want to raise children who love themselves, but very few of us actually know what that means to do it, because almost none of us had that. We had parents who loved others more than themselves, or self-sacrificed beyond their capacity and grew resentful, or put everything before us, while making it look like they were good parents. Or told us that we were too much if we expressed emotions in subtle ways without saying it directly. That's what we are told is good parenting. It fails everyone involved. That book will change how you parent for the better. It will change how your children parent. For infants, buy everything at IKEA. The infant furniture, toys is ridiculously overpriced. You don't need a $200 high chair. You don't need a $500 crib. You don't need a $500 nursing chair. You don't need $150 baby carrier. Save your money and only spend it on a really good car seat. Don't agonize over the stroller, rocker, swing, baby carrier. They mostly all do the same thing, and the small differences won't be noticeable when you are using it. And the local buy nothing groups, and mom/dad/parents groups, and your network of friends. Most of our kids' clothing, furniture, and toys was completely free. Some other family outgrew it and then passed it along. My wife also has this knack for serving as a clearinghouse for everybody. When our second was born, I asked her where the swing that our first had loved as a newborn was, and apparently it had served 5 different families in the intervening 3 years. I agree with this, except for maybe the stroller. I had a cheapish Graco stroller for years, and got a free Diano stroller with a car seat purchase on Black Friday in 2019. Holy moly, what a difference. It is so freaking easy to push and maneuver compared to the Graco. Also, personally, after my first kid, I skipped the bucket and went straight for the convertible car seat from birth. Good advice. I'd also say save money and buy second-hand. You can pick up bags of used baby clothes real cheap and they're just going to get covered in baby mess. Get a nice new outfit for some good quality photos and dress in the cheap stuff for the month or two that it will fit. I also found the cheap $10 stroller to be much lighter and easier to fit in the car than the expensive ATV version you can spend $100s on. This may not suit everybody, I guess. I didn't take my kid to the optometrist, doctor and dentist, yes, but I figured optometrists were for people who needed glasses. He seemed to be fine. I didn't realize there are other vision problems that may not be apparent, which are only correctable if caught early. When one eye started drifting, I took him in. Now he needs expensive vision therapy, and it may be that he's too old to fully benefit. Vision development happens in the brain as well as the eyes, and the visual system matures around age 7. I wish I'd taken him to be screened earlier. Thanks for sharing your lesson learned. My husband is an optometrist and tries to gently inform his patients about the importance of checking kids' vision for several reasons, including what your child is experiencing. In the United States, there is a program for free vision testing for babies 6-12 months called Infancy. It's done by licensed optometrists and they'll do a more in-depth vision check than the pediatrician. I worked for an optometrist during undergrad and we definitely spent a lot of time trying to educate the patients and explaining why it's important to check your eye health regularly, like a physical for the eyes, and how important it is for kids to be checked as well because it's much more than just needing glasses. I first got glasses at the age of 8 because my teacher told my mom that I couldn't see the board. I had no idea there was anything wrong. I just thought it was normal, but my first prescription was -3.00, so who knows how long I was carrying on with blurry vision. It was a whole new world I didn't even know was possible with glasses. I never understood why my mom always took me even before I needed glasses. I now need glasses, contacts 24/7 to see, but I had good vision until I hit puberty. But they check for other things than just vision, which didn't click until I was about 17. I grew up on a farm and still work with, have livestock. Every time I go they check for parasites and other things that animals like cats, chickens, etc. can give you. I'll add to your don't be afraid to ask for help, with also don't be afraid to ask for advice. Parents get a lot of unsolicited advice, but one of my regrets with my first baby was not flat out asking advice from my mom, mother-in-law, older sisters, and mom friends. I was almost prideful, thinking it was my baby and surely I had the answers. As a first-time mom, don't be afraid to not know what the F you're doing. None of us do. It's totally normal and okay to ask for others' opinions, hear them out and see if they have some ideas that might work for you and your babe. Lad, don't be afraid to ask for help and advice if you have a special needs child, because that shit is not covered in any of the parenting books, or at least it wasn't when I was preggo with my son. It caught me by surprise and I was left going oh shit. Now what? The librarians must have thought I was crazy, because I went in and picked up every book, which there weren't many, and interlibrary loan requested a ton more because I've always felt more information is better than less. Mine would be to familiarize yourself with psychology of family units, trauma if you have any, and general psychology. It has helped me as a parent so much, makes navigating tough situations with your child easier when you know where they are coming from and understand your own thought process. I have stopped myself from making regretful decisions from studying psychology, and it helped me distance myself from my mother's parenting style, which was abusive and traumatic. So many things I didn't realize were extremely important to do and avoid. Was gonna recommended Gabormate as well. I get the info from YouTube usually. The channel School of Life has quick and easy videos that I love, and from that I watch whatever suggestions the algorithm brings up. I also attend therapy with the trauma-based therapist, and I get a lot of my revelations there.